if you didn't like Andrea from The Walking Dead and you saw her in this film, that would have really pushed you over the edge. What a terrible person, right? Literally takes her wedding ring off and puts it down at this happy moment that Ben Grimm is having on the bridge, you know, where he starts to feel somewhat normal again. She decides
That was brutal.
Dude.
That made me so sad.
It's awful.
I would have just jumped in the water from the top of the bridge if I was The Rock, dude.
It's crazy to me that this movie is 20 years old now.
Yeah.
The old guy here, of course, is reminiscing about how this movie feels like it came out yesterday, but it really does. I was in 10th grade when this movie came out.
Right
when it first came out, at the time, of course, I viewed it very high. You know, I mean, but revisiting this movie, it really just felt so cheesy and over the top. Not extremely cheesy, but it was pretty.
It was 2000s cheesy. It was genuinely that. It's the cringe of the 2000s, like we just talked about with the Thunderbolts of 2025 cringe with the feelings. It's the cringe version of just like that odd, awkward, weird humor. You know what I'm saying? And like the weird transitions. Like it's a very, very interesting. Yeah, I'm with you there.
Does it make sense when I say it was choppy? Like the editing, like how they talk to each other is so like it's off or something. Is that? It's just so cringy.
Yeah, it's very jolting.
It all felt very rushed too. Like I know that they were trying to accomplish a lot in that 2 hours or less than 2 hours that they had allotted, but everything happened really quick. Like, okay, let's go get this funding from Victor Von Doom. Okay, let's get on the spaceship. Okay, let's do this. And then we're the Fantastic Four. And it just felt very
too fast.
So rushed. Like it's one of those things, even when they got their power, I mean, it didn't have room to breathe. I felt like even when they got their powers, or like it would have been cool to see the Thing like actually transform, because he just runs away. You know what I mean? Like it would have been cool to actually see him. But I don't know if the comics do that. I don't know, to actually see the transformation.
But to actually happen. That's an interesting point too. I like in these types of movies, especially what they call like the movies where they get their powers. What are those types of movies called? The origin story. There you go.
Yeah.
These are the types of movies where you can really appreciate the slower moments, the moments where they really connect with who they're becoming, who they were. And it sucks. And it is a very 2000s thing too, where they kind of just like overlook those things because like feelings don't matter in movies back then. So it's like they just rush right through it, get right to the action because that's what they assume everyone wants, especially back in those days. But it's changed. It's definitely changed a lot. That movie, like you said, it's the epitome of 2000s.
Yeah.
It was interesting to me that Reed and Sue weren't together at the beginning of this film. That was kind of a different approach.
Yeah.
Having her be with Victor at first, kind of an interesting starting point. Another thing too, we watched the Thunderbolts, which had a Dr. Phil reference, but this film also had a Dr. Phil reference, which is crazy to think about how relevant that guy has been for such a long time.
The show is still going.
They said in Thunderbolts, I think they just canceled it recently. I don't know if they did or not, but I mean, 20 plus years. That's pretty impressive.
And it also ties into the mental health aspect of that movie, Thunderbolts. That's not like there's a reason why they put that in there.
And he also found Bad Baby as well. That was a big find. Nobody understood that reference. The girl that said, "Catch me outside." How about that? And now she's a rapper.
Oh, Bad Barbie. Yes.
Is it Barbie?
Well, you say it correctly. You say the way she says it. I just know her as Bad Barbie. So when you said Bad Baby, I thought of the rapper Baby, and I was like, is there like a bad version of it? That's funny, actually.
Yeah. There's so many like Bad Baby, Bad Bunny. Like I'm like, what? Who?
Yeah, culturally, so I have no idea.
Yeah.
Right. But apparently she makes like mega millions every month on OnlyFans. So
yeah, I've seen those interviews where she like, it's crazy.
Interesting.
What I was talking about the 2000s thing though, similar scene with Chris Evans in the snow with the doctor, like the nurse, when she comes in and he's like, he just immediately picks her up. Like back in those days, we thought that's how you got women. Like you just said one woman to a line, and then she's like, oh, I'm in love with you now.
Yeah.
It's fine. It's like, no, it doesn't work like that. But I thought that was really fun. They go out snowboarding, and then he like makes the little jacuzzi. Yeah, that was like, I liked Chris Evans in that role. I know a lot of people didn't really appreciate him, but
he was. Because, like, I think Johnny is smart. I think Johnny is intelligent, but he seems like the most immature and the most, like, unintelligent person. But Chris Evans does a really good job with being the rebel or being, like, kind of holding it together. Like, kind of just being funny and being a jack. Like
the first one has the Jessica Alba scene, right, where she loses all her clothes, basically, and that again, right back to the 2000s, like that whole kind of like cringy, like you have to have that moment in the movie for the guys, right? That's what seemed like every big Marvel or big like action movie back then would always have that moment with the girl.
Yeah, but you really didn't even see anything, though.
No, you didn't. You didn't. No,
Isn't this also the film that Jessica Alba was told by the director to cry prettier? Okay, sorry. It was actually during the filming of Fantastic Four: Rise of the Silver Surfer, which is apparently the one that Topher watched.
Yeah, that's the one.
Jessica Alba was reportedly asked to cry prettier by the director Tim Story, who's the same director that directed this first Fantastic Four.
I don't think a human can cry prettier. I think we all just ugly cry.
I was gonna say the only pretty cry is like maybe just like when you see something beautiful and now you get that one tear and it's like, okay, that's it. But like a true cry is not pretty. Like,
no,
I've never seen something like you look beautiful crying.
But this director, fun fact, he made his fame on the first barbershop film. I think that came out a few years before.
That was his first movie?
Maybe that was his first big movie. I know he directed the first barbershop.
If I remember correctly, that's a good movie. Barbershop's a really good movie, if I remember correctly.
Yeah, the first and the second to me were good growing up. But yeah, he definitely directed Barbershop. He was fresh off the success of Barbershop, right? When he started directing this film. A lot of these older movies that I go back and revisit for the first time in a while, there's a lot of stuff in them that you don't remember seeing that. Like, oh, I don't remember that being there, but that's kind of neat. But this felt like I had just seen it not that long ago because I guess it was so cliche, but I did have a lot fonder memories of it when it first came out as well. So
it's definitely a movie. Like, I don't know if you're Star Wars fans, but like I personally, I love Phantom Menace and I still think it's a good movie, but it's like similarly when you think about the way you watched it as a child and it was just all awe-inspiring. It was just such an amazing experience. And then you go back as an adult and you're like, oh, that was horrible.
What happened here?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. I mean, the first Fantastic Four really does hit on all the 2000s tropes. I've said it a million times. If you love that phase of cinema, if you love the 2000s and movies, like that is perfect. But if you find it cringy, which most of us do, it's like, it's hard to rewatch those movies.
Even when Johnny was like going snowboarding, they had a pop punk song. Like,
yeah.
So
I love that. Yeah. Those are fighting words. Don't be talking about pop punk.
Punk. I think it's no. I'm saying it's dope.
Okay. I thought you were gonna say that you hated that.
No. I was just saying like it's so 2000. Like you said, like it's so like Johnny just fits that era. Like it was so fun to watch.
Yeah.
So it's like I miss it. Like I wish I was a teenager in the 2000s. That'd be cool.
When they played that pop pump song, like no matter how bad of a mood I was in up to that point watching this cringy movie, when I heard that song play, I just couldn't help but smile, you know.
But that's what's so good about like these types of movies because they may like time-wise, like they may not age the best because whether, you know, things have just improved with technology or acting methods, whatever. But when you go back to these movies, they like present such an awkward time portal jump to that time period where it's like refreshing in a sense because like it just brings you back to that time period. And if you can like get lost in it, I'm kind of losing my train of thought here because I went too far into that. But you know what I'm saying? Like it pulls you back and it just kind of, it's a nice reminder.
It's like a hot tub time machine, Topher.
Yeah, there you go. I should have just said that. It's a hot tub. Exactly. It really is though, because it's just so much 2000 stuff at you, just nonstop.
It's nostalgia. Yeah, it's nostalgic.
No, it's true.
There's a lot of cheesy foreshadowing in this movie, like making comments before he became Mr. Fantastic, like Reed, you always stretch yourself so thin.
Yeah, that's funny. Yes.
Or like Johnny, you're such a hothead. I don't know if they made those exact comments, but they made it about everyone. Literally, it felt like. You know, that's just some more of that cringy, like you said, 2000s dialogue.
It's like that checklist box where it's like, we need to include this style in this movie. Yeah. It's like, we need foreshadowing.
Here's something I wanted to bring up too. In the new Fantastic Four that's coming out in a couple months now, in July, the actor that plays the new Johnny Storm, Joseph Quinn. So in the interview, he made comments about he didn't want Johnny Storm to be a womanizer. And I'm a male, so it's easier for me to say stuff like, oh, I hate that phrase or that term, whatever. But really, to me at least, I mean, correct me if I'm wrong here, Katie, but I didn't feel like Johnny Storm in this movie was a womanizer. I mean, he's just a young punk, hothead kid that, like you said, you know, he seems kind of dumb. He's immature. He likes the ladies, but I didn't see him hooking up with a lot of different girls. I don't know. I just didn't get that impression. What do you guys think?
I think it's just that thing of like you know, because I think when they show him with women all around him all the time and him kind of being sly and like cool with the ladies. But you're right. Like, I mean, he's not with anyone. I think one thing that I was like, he kisses that nurse or whatever. And he's like, you're meeting me. Like, you know, kind of like, and it's slick and it's fine and it's like, whatever. But in a way, you're right. He kind of is a womanizer, I would say, a little bit. But at the same time, like, I remember the second movie, and I remember he grows and he's actually in love with someone.
Yeah, yeah.
Doesn't he fall in love or something?
I think I believe so.
Crush. I don't know, something like that. But he's known as a player or something. I'd say he comes off as a womanizer a little bit, because at one point I think Ben Grimm says there's more to life than money and girls or something like that.
And he did say that. He was like,
it was
greed or
yeah.
Yeah.
So I think he still is a bit of a womanizer and tries to get with the ladies, but they just have him around women.
Everything you're saying is completely correct. And when I think of the word womanizer, I think of also someone who might have the intentions out to like hurt people, you know what I mean, throughout their actions. And I kind of just felt like you see, just like he was just girl crazy. He was just obsessed with women. And like you said with the second movie, I do appreciate the growth with the comments that the new actor made. That's one thing that frustrated me personally, because it's like, well, we don't want anyone to be a womanizer, but if we look at anyone's path and who they are right now, or like where they've come from, at some point he might have been a womanizer, and like we want to see that growth, right? Like we want to see him go from being that, and like we did in the original movies.
You know, like you're alluding to, we all have flaws, and like you said, we want to see that growth. The same thing with Tony Stark. I think it's also important for him to be at least somewhat of an alcoholic, like he was in the books. Not saying that everything has to be just like the comics, but some of those core elements that make up these characters need to be there.
Yeah, they're flaws. They're flaws for a reason.
Right.
But, you know, at the end of the day, I don't think that those comments are going to equate to very much anyway. I think that he's doing what any other actor or actress is going to be doing, promoting a film. They're trying not to offend somebody, which is almost impossible these days, right?
It's just as long as you don't go Snow White, as long as you avoid that promotion style.
Weird.
That's what they're going for, but you are correct there, though.
Yeah, but you know, at the end of the day, I don't think that those comments are something to be alarmed about. Although I think that there was some other comments that said something along the lines that Johnny was going to be bisexual or something like that. And
people were yelling in the comments or something, and are like, "Oh, he's probably bisexual, or he's probably gay, or something like that." And I was like, I really don't, and I don't know if they even said that. I think it was just people.
It's probably speculation, yeah.
But I don't know if you saw it, maybe if it was in the article or
but
not.
We do live in the age, like I said, where everyone, and to be fair, both sides are just as guilty, right? Everyone gets offended and finds that little nitpick of something in an interview or whatever. So I don't think that those are anything to worry about.
Nothing, man. No. The movie itself looks like it's going to be really good. Obviously, everyone's going to have their own personal opinions. And like as an actor, just like anything else, you're going to bring your own personal beliefs into that role. And again, if he's that a type of person who wanted that character to be changed a little bit, as long as he does a good job, and as long as we're not being like giving me messages that I don't really care to hear.
Don't beat us over the head with the message. And that's what they did in Thunderbolts. It was a message-free film.
Yeah.
That's what we want. We want escapist entertainment. If you didn't like Andrea from The Walking Dead, or if you did kind of like her a little bit and you saw her in this film, that would have really pushed you over the edge. What a terrible person, right? Literally takes her wedding ring off and puts it down at this happy moment that Ben Grimm is having on the bridge, you know, where he starts to feel somewhat normal again. She decides to.
That was brutal.
Dude.
That made me so sad.
I would have just jumped in the water from the top of the bridge if I was The Rock, dude. The Thing.
That's so bad for him.
But he found Kerry Washington at the end of the movie, who apparently is an immortal, because that was 20 years ago and she still looked young, and now she still looks young. So
wait, that's her?
Yeah.
Yes, that's Kerry Washington.
She looks like this age.
I thought she was like my age, or like, you know, younger. I thought she was like 32, 33, but
wow, you just blew my mind.
Yeah, I didn't know that either until I rewatched this film. I was like, that's Kerry Washington.
That scene's brutal though, man. And I do love the like how people talk, like the joke around it is that she literally saw them on there she is. She saw them on the news and then was like, I'm gonna go to that bridge and bring my ring there and give you the ring in front of everybody.
Yeah.
That's the most brutal scene I've.
He couldn't even pick the ring up either.
Oh yeah.
He couldn't even pick it up.
That was bad. That was bad. That was actually well written, that right there. That was tough.
Yeah, that was probably one of the better moments, like better executed moments.
There you go. A good way to put it. Yeah, executed.
Yeah. So not to be confused, Andrea from The Walking Dead was the terrible fiance that put the ring back. But Kerry Washington was the chick that he met later in the film. for some odd reason, just automatically liked the guy, like, and started dating the guy. Like, that moved really fast too.
Yeah.
No development there, but that's okay.
That is like a 2000s thing, right? Like you just accept it. We're not going to build, just accept it.
They're a thing now. They're an item. So.
Yeah, exactly. No pun intended. They're a thing now.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
What did you guys think about the special effects overall?
Meh.
I was definitely dated. We can talk about like the guys, the thing in the new movie, like the CGI versus him having an actual like prosthetic. I thought it looked pretty good that's what I thought looked pretty good. The thing obviously doesn't look great, but for its time, I thought it looked okay.
Yeah, I didn't have issues with the thing. People have talked about the stretchy effects in the modern Fantastic Four too. We really haven't seen much yet, except for this most recent trailer that we got. We saw a little bit of the stretchy.
Yeah.
I think that's probably a hard thing to pull off and make look realistic. Given the era, this was 20 years ago, I thought his stretching effects looked pretty good.
Relative, yes. Yeah. For its time. Yeah. Absolutely.
I thought the one scene with him putting his hand under the door and getting when they tried to get into Ben's room, that was kind of a cool, that was pretty good, I think. Like that stretchiness, I thought that was well done.
I agree. And even Johnny Storm looked really good to me.
Yeah, the fire. Yeah.
He looked really good. Yeah.
Especially when it was just without a shirt, just him. He looked really good.
Oh, I see what you're doing there. So yeah, the bridge scene I thought was well executed. Like we kind of alluded to that earlier. A lot of convenient things happen there in the bridge scene that they just happened to be in that traffic when Ben Grimm was running into the semi-truck.
Oh, it was them. That's right. It's them being there. That's the timing is ridiculous. That's right. They just pop up. Yeah.
And by the way, his fiance is also there somewhere as well.
Yeah, like where were you all going? Like what party were you all headed to?
Exactly.
Yeah. More that 2000s convenient stuff.
Contrived. That's the contrivances. Yeah.
I love that Johnny's a jerk because to me that makes his character. He's always roasting Ben in the film.
Always.
I think that's another element that makes this character work. It's hard for me not to get worried just a little bit because that character needs to be kind of
he's a jerk.
Jerk for lack of a better term.
One thing about Joseph Quinn that I was like, because like I did a video on this and I was like, because I still like Chris Evans' Johnny Storm. He was just perfect as Johnny. He needs to be a jerk. Like, you know what I mean? Like he has to have those traits. But I think what they're trying to do with this one is so family. It seems like it's very family oriented. And what he maybe wants to do is like highlight more of the intelligence part of him or like kind of make him still maybe possibly have an ego, but then kind of fit it into a family thing. So it seems like it's going to be a little bit of a diluted Johnny, which I kind of want him to be a jerk though.
Yeah. At least let us see him start off as one. If you don't want him to be a jerk, give us the path to not be a jerk anymore, right? Like show us that happen. But
I'm just gonna wait until the movie comes out, honestly. But I do have a little, some concerns. But I try not to, like you said earlier about Thunderbolts, I try not to build this set of expectations in my head and just watch the movie. And hopefully they'll continue with non-agendas, just good escapist television.
Yeah. It is hard to watch a movie when especially when you're going to review it. It's really hard to sometimes kind of just digest it as a movie because you're like taking notes and then you're like, wait, no, just enjoy the movie for a second. And then there's that certain level you have to make sure you stay in that threshold of not just being a critic the entire time and just let it wash all over you. Just let it like enjoy the experience.
And one thing I forgot too, before we give our ratings out, all the Latveria references in this film. I totally forgot about that. But there was several, but a lot of people didn't like this version of, which is fair. I didn't love this version of Dr. Doom either. We'll see how Robert Downey Jr. does.
Yeah, so he's not, this guy wasn't the greatest actor. He's not the greatest actor, but not Tony Stark turned Dr. Doom. That's gonna be amazing.
I'm excited for it. A lot of people didn't like it. Did y'all see that? A lot of people said that was like a cry for help or something.
From Marvel?
Yeah, bringing Robert Downey Jr. back. A lot of people are
I can see that argument, but I'm excited to see what they do. It fits into the multiverse mold. So I understand why they're doing it, but whether or not it works, we'll see. But it could be really effective if he comes in and does something terrible right off the bat.
Oh, he's going to kill someone potentially.
Yeah. I don't mind the multiverse stuff. So I'm cool with it. It just
as long as you do it well. As long as you do it well, we're okay with it. You know what I mean? No one wants, and that's what matters. And he's such a great actor. And like you said, it makes sense. Like we love that dude. I mean, I'm more of a Captain America guy, but I still love Iron Man. He's still amazing. But the way we all felt about Iron Man, the way he died, the way everyone reacted to that, and for him to come back as like as an evil entity, there really is so much potential there, right? So as long as they don't waste it on like a cheesy, like if he comes in for 10 minutes and then is out the movie, which obviously is not possible because the movie. If he's not the real Doomsday, it'll be so disappointing because I really am. I am excited to see him just be a complete like sociopath versus exactly. Yeah, more or less.
It might make it hurt that much more coming from RDJ, him doing terrible things. So we'll see.
Do you see we might get Captain Hydra potentially with Steve? Do you think, or not Steve Evans, Chris Evans come back as Steve Rogers? Steve Evans, Chris Rogers.
I hope he comes back on it.
If you're doing one, I wouldn't hate it, man. Like if you're gonna do one, I wouldn't hate
coming back. It's gonna happen.
Oh, you do think so? You think so?
Yes. Absolutely.
Oh, that's cool. I love that confidence. That's so cool.
Minimum in Secret Wars, it's going to happen.
Oh, yes.
Maybe not in Doomsday, but
no, you're right.
We might see Old Man Rogers on the moon or something in Doomsday, but he's coming back for Secret Wars.
No, you're right.
Everybody and their mom is coming back for that movie.
No, you're right. That's a great
Secret
point.
Wars is going to be insane.
If you guys had to rate this film on a scale from 0 to 10, 0 being terrible, unwatchable, I never want to see it or talk about it again, and 10 being perfect, where would you rank it?
If you were to ask me when I originally saw it 20 years ago, I probably would have told you an 8.5 because it was I loved it at the time. I really did. But after like what we've talked about and just like analyzing it, understanding it, I'd probably say a 6 out of 10 because it's good, it's enjoyable. But like the things we've talked about, there are just some moments where like just seem a little bit too 2000s-y, a little bit too contrived. And for me, like, yeah, probably 6. I don't hate it, don't love it. We'll watch it again in 10 years, probably, maybe.
I'm between a 5 and a 6 because like. Okay. I don't know. I'll go with a 6. I'll just go with 6 simply because Johnny Storm held it down.
Yeah. Chris Evans is awesome.
I love Chris. I think the only reason why I revisit that movie, if I were to revisit it, is just to watch Johnny Storm again. They had some good CGI moments too, but everything is rushed and it is so like it's not the greatest. It's
not the greatest.
I looked at my list before the movie started when I watched it yesterday, and in my phone I had it ranked as a 3.5. I was like, surely it's not that bad, right? And I hate to inform you guys, but it was truly that bad.
Yeah.
I mean, that's where I got it. I got it at a 3.5. The only films that I think are worse than that movie are Blade Trinity, The Wolverine, Ghost Rider, movies like that. I think a little bit worse, but that's where I got it. I got it at a 3.5.
I see what you're doing there with the Ghost Rider, and I see what you mean. But this one, I gotta agree with you, Katie. I think Chris Evans being a A-list actor, not saying like Nicolas Cage isn't, even though I mean I love Nicolas Cage, but he's definitely got his moments. But there's something about Chris Evans for me that like just brings up the score for that movie because of the level of comfort. Like,
and that's fair. Films are subjective, that's the biggest thing. This list in my phone is just totally my opinion of these films, right? And it's also hard once you start putting like 150, 200 movies on that list. Like you got to start, really like start looking.
And I respect you so much for your like. What I love that you can do is because I struggle with this is giving movies low scores. Like I gave that a 6, and you said 3.5, and I was like, well, geez, but like you're keeping it real, and you have that experience of genuinely ranking them. So every time you get asked, you're like, well, it can't be above this, and I love that you did that because now I'm like, maybe I should go and do that because you can immediately be like, well, it's not better than that, but it's not as good as that, and then you find it.
Yeah,
right.
Cool.
Yeah, and you can only have so many 6s and 5s, right?
You got to make a decision. You got to make it.
Sacrifices have to be made.
Katie and I are on the fence. We're like, I mean, it's good, but it's not.
I'm so bad with ranking movies. Like when I do a Letterboxd, I'm like, I don't know what to do. Like,
that's for the pressure.
How many stars do I give this? I don't know.
Imagine like being a massive creator too, who like the actors and the directors hear your critique, and that to me is such an interesting dynamic that hopefully one day we can get to. One day,
right?
But it's just. That would be so, like, that was a 3 out of 5. And then like Chris Evans calls you, he's like, "What the man? I thought you were my boy." And it's like, well, okay. You know what I mean? Like that's gotta be an interesting dynamic.
But to be honest, all I'll say is like, hey, I'm just
gotta
being honest here.
No, for real though, and that's how people evolve and improve by honesty. Right. So I respect them.
Like one example is like Bill Skarsgård, right? Like I have a lot of celebrity crushes. I have a lot of actors that I love so much, and I'll watch their stuff. But I'm not. There are some fans out there who are like, "Oh, they're great in every single thing," and I'm like, I still love them, and I'm still gonna whatever. But if I watch their like Austin Butler, right? Like I'm gonna judge it. Like I'm gonna be like, you weren't that great in this though. Like
it's like not every song is great. Some songs are okay.
Right.
Yeah, and there's nothing wrong with that. Thank you so much for watching, guys. Make sure you like, share, and subscribe. Check us out on the other socials. And until next time, have a good one.